Hello and welcome to another video of Guy with a Camera in Asia. And as you can see, I'm not at home, but I'm actually at Wat Swai Charum, and which is actually a Buddhist temple with a school accompanied to it. So this is the school, as you can see. Just a moment ago there were a lot of children outside, but I think now they have a class again. Here you see some stalls that the children can buy candy from, and now here you have, for example, a lot of pots and pans and equipment for cooking food and serving food to the children during their breaks, lunch break, maybe even dinner break. I don't know the school times here, but yeah, so now I'm walking towards the temple area. Here you have the stupas. I think they are of the monks that used to live in the temple, in the Wat, and that have passed away. Anyway, this video is not going to be about this temple. This video is going to be about the whether the first 1.5 months in Cambodia actually lived up to my expectations. What my expectations were, and yeah, whether they were fulfilled or not. And this is just an introduction to this video, so in just a few moments from now I'm going to sign off, and you're probably going to see me back at home discussing this very topic. So hang in there, and see you soon. Bye. So, Cambodia, expectations versus reality after about 1.5 months. Um, so what were my expectations before I came to Cambodia? Um, I think okay, so let's go through them one by one and then see whether they were met, those expectations. So my first expectation was that people here in Cambodia would be quite idealistic, because on the internet, before I came here, I had read that the majority of the population, over 90% I believe, is Buddhist, has the Buddhist religion. So officially that's how it is in Cambodia. And I thought that because of that, Cambodians would have certain norms and values that we often associate with Buddhism, like maybe being very peaceful, being meditative, having a higher form of awareness, maybe a little bit of spirituality, all these kind of things. I thought that would be the case in Cambodia because of their Buddhism. But so far, after 1.5 months, I think my expectations were not met. I think Cambodians, the average Cambodian at this moment is not very idealistic. Is very realistic, actually, rather. Very realistic and quite concerned with maybe getting out of poverty, or for some, getting rich, rather than getting out of poverty. And doing, to various degrees, doing everything that they can possibly do in order to get there, including things that would go completely against the values or the idealism of Buddhism. So, okay, I must make a side note. I do see monks here. You see, regularly I see monks in the orange robes, Buddhist monks, walking on the street or around the pagodas, and I do not know really whether they are whether they follow very strict rules and whether they are very idealistic or not. It can be that many of the men that join those monasteries and are monks for part of their lives, they become monks because they are um, more idealistic as a person, and they become a monk therefore. Um, but I do not know that, and I do not know to what degree the Buddhism and the actual religion mm, influences or has an influence on the general um, society in Cambodia. I'm not sure if it's like a very secluded um, religion that kind of does its own thing within the country, or whether it really is like educating people the Buddhist beliefs. For example, I'm not sure how, like if for example Buddhist monks are also teachers in schools, or whether children in school are being taught certain things by the monks. I don't know that. Um, it seems like their influence on the general society is not that big. It seems like they're more like of a sort of like secluded side group, sort of at a distance from society. But that's my impression after this amount of time in Cambodia. Um, yeah, I think that's the first thing. Not so idealistic, generally speaking. Quite realistic, rather more realistic than I thought. Um, so something else, something more personal about myself is tutoring and what I expected from that when I went here, before I went here. So before I came, if for those of you who don't know, I tutor Dutch online through an online platform. And before I went to Cambodia, I thought that it was going to be very difficult um, to teach from here. First reason being the time difference. I thought that the time difference was really going to affect my tutoring negatively. Um, and I also thought that the internet was going to be a problem for teaching. Um, but actually, I was wrong, and I'm actually my expectations were exceeded. So things ended up being better than I thought they would be. So far, um, this is still, I think, the first month that since I started teaching again when I arrived here. Um, but I think so far it's going pretty well. I have a wireless router now that uses the mobile signal, and the internet is very stable from that. It's a smart router from the smart telecom company. It's a very stable connection, and my video calls are even better than they were in the Netherlands, basically. Um, and the time difference doesn't seem to be that much of a problem either. I've adjusted my availability a little bit to being also available on Saturday in order to accommodate for the students who are um, working during the week, and who now my availability is basically until 5 p.m. in Europe or in the Netherlands, more or less. So that's basically I stopped too early for European people who work to take classes with me during the week. So that's why I became available on Saturday, and some students are using that option. Um, and yeah, it seems like some students they quit but it was mostly, I think, because it's summer and they wanted to go on a holiday and maybe they wanted to reevaluate their goals. It's kind of something that you cannot really avoid, I think. And I think some students they will start taking classes with me again once the holidays are over, or more regularly at least than now. And I've also already, I think, I have one. I even have like one new student since I arrived here. I gave some trial classes, and I have one new student now. So it's going pretty well. And I think after the holidays, there will be a little bit of a small wave of new students looking for a tutor. So I think it's gonna be okay. And it also seems like there are plenty of people who want to take classes in the morning in Europe, European time, which is like the afternoon for me. So that's I suspect that I can still make a decent income from tutoring, um, even while I'm here. So that's a good thing. Um, Prices. What did I expect of prices? The prices that I have found here are more or less what I expected before I came here. I expected prices to be mm, somewhere around um, what I had experienced maybe from the Philippines back when I was in the Philippines, which I already told in my first video, by the way. But for those of you who don't know, I've lived in the Philippines for a while, and I expected prices here to be more or less the same. And I guess for food and certain forms of entertainment, that's true. Um, for housing, I would say, in my experience, I'm getting actually more value for my money here than I got in the Philippines. But maybe that's also because I'm a little bit more critical now, and I've done my best to find a good place. So housing is, I think, a little bit cheaper here, even in Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia. A bit cheaper than I thought actually, because what I thought was like Philippine standards. But there are other things that are a little bit more expensive, and those are, for example, museums or certain things that you can visit, and then especially for foreigners, they have a higher price, for example, for a museum visit. So those things are a little bit more expensive than I thought, and also a very important thing, transport is a little bit more expensive than I had expected. Um, Taking a bus ride from Phnom Penh to Phnom Penh, I should say. Actually, it's Phnom Penh, like with the I learned. Taking a bus ride from here to from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap, for example, with a good bus, nice bus, would cost me $17. That's, I guess it's a little bit more than I expected. You can go cheaper. I think you can go like $14 or something, but then you're generally in a smaller bus, um, completely packed. Usually, they don't go as long as the bus is before the bus is completely full. You have no leg space. Sitting next to people who are uncomfortable with a foreigner next to them, because some Cambodians, maybe they're a little bit afraid that you want to talk to them, but you can't because they don't speak English and I don't speak Khmer very well. So that's, yeah, my first bus ride from Phnom Penh to Siem Reap was not so pleasant. It was in a cheaper bus. But on the way back, I paid a little bit more, $17, and that was fine, but a little bit more expensive than I expected. Also, taxis and tuk-tuks. Well, tuk-tuks are not really that expensive. I mean, if you can go to another part of the city for like $1 to $2, that's not that much, of course. But on the other hand, um, there is not such a thing like a shared ride or something. In the Philippines, you have like jeepneys where you can just hop in, and for like a small fraction of a dollar, you can get all the way to like the other part of town. You know, like for less than half a dollar, maybe you can get to the other part, the other side of the city. While here, you pay maybe at least $1, but more like sometimes two or three for that same amount because you have to pay for the entire tuk-tuk, or about double that amount, more like 2.5 to $5 for a taxi ride. It's not that the thing itself is more expensive, but it's more like the cheaper option is not available, I guess. So yeah, my, mm, yeah, that's a little bit of a downside of Cambodia, I guess. But yeah, now something more interesting, I guess. Um, it's Before I went here, I was expecting to be able to get in touch with the locals. Maybe not so easily because of the language, but still quite easy. I expected that they are quite open. It's quite an open culture, but in reality, I find it a little bit harder to connect with Cambodians than I expected. And that's of course partly because not so many Cambodians speak English very well, but maybe also a little bit because they their culture is a little bit less open. They have a little bit of a less open society to outsiders than I initially thought. It's a little bit more difficult to really have a contact with them. Maybe to create a group of friends, maybe with Cambodians in them also. So far, I have not succeeded in doing that. Um, I have some Cambodian friends, I guess, but it's difficult. It's not yet decided whether that's how that's going to play out. Let's say. So yeah, connecting with the locals is a little bit harder than I thought. Oh yeah, now maybe the visa. Um, Visa is easier than I thought it would be to get. Um, I'm not going to say too much about it, but yeah, I don't need to worry about my visa here in Cambodia. They really want, at least I guess the government really wants foreigners here for tourism, but also for maybe uh, they need foreign investors because their previous economic growth, I think, depended a lot on foreign investments, and they know that foreigners who stay longer might one day maybe open a business, or maybe they buy a house, or at least they rent an apartment or a condo, and the country really needs that money, that foreign influx of money. So um, yeah, getting a visa is not that hard. You should just go to a visa agency, and they will just process everything for you, no problem. It's easier than I expected, actually. And then I guess last but not least, the women, Cambodian women. Um, Before I went here, I expected, I guess, somewhat sort of a mix between maybe Thai, Vietnamese, and maybe Philippine women. I guess I don't know why. It's just something maybe sort of like from what I had seen in on the internet. I would have thought that Cambodian women are quite maybe liberal and a little bit open to foreigners, maybe a foreign boyfriend or partner, whatever. Um, well, I think I have I have gone on dates with some women so far, and I can tell you that some of them are potentially interested in foreign men. Of course, which country in the world that is not the case? Well, maybe there are some, but here there are some um, women that are open to that idea. But I find them in general to be quite conservative. Um, let's say Cambodian women are, I would definitely say, are not easy, so to say. Um, yeah, they are a little bit more conservative than in general, than I expected. Although, yeah, it's still too early to say, to really have a final judgment about it. I guess maybe it's always still too early. But you have to make some evaluation sometimes, and that's what I do now. In general, did Cambodia meet my expectations? I guess, yeah, more or less, yeah. I can say that now, at this very moment, my life is really not that stressful. It's quite, generally, my life is quite good actually. I have more of a tan than I probably, yeah, maybe you don't see that much, but I haven't been this tanned. My skin hasn't been this tanned for maybe 5 to 10 years at least. You know, because of the swimming pool that is on top of this building where I'm in several times a week, going outside almost every day for a walk, going to a local swimming pool or sports club actually. There is a Phnom Penh sports club nearby with a pool, saunas, cold and warm water baths, a gym, table tennis, everything. And you can go there for just one-time entry, $5. So yeah, I'm gonna go there more often because I like sports, I like swimming. So um, yeah, so yeah, my life is pretty good. I need a little bit more social contact, I think, with both um, locals and expats, but I'm working on that, I guess. And yeah, um, in general, Cambodia did meet my expectations. I must say one little thing that, as some of you might know, I got a little bit sick a couple of weeks ago and ended up in the hospital for 3 days. And during that time, and especially yeah, during those hospital days and the days after that, when I was very tired and sleeping a lot, I was really wondering what I was doing here in Cambodia. But that was just kind of a time that I had to go through, and yeah, it's difficult to be with to be so far away from family. That I must say is definitely true. That's what I expected to be difficult, and it is indeed quite difficult. But I yeah, I put myself. I tell myself that I'm going to see them probably beginning of next year, or you know, it's yeah, sometime from now, and I do video calls with them a lot, and I really keep in touch with my family and with my friends also, even though I cannot talk to them, you know, tete a tete or like direct in physical form. But yeah, so I guess that's it, guys. I hope this video was interesting for you to get a little bit of an insight into the psychology of a young Dutch man who moved to Cambodia, and whether his expectations were met or not. If you like this video, then please like and maybe hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos in the future. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.